Overlander. First time from the inside. So today will probably be a little longer video because first I will show you how I insulated that first layer of mine, what I used, how I did it, and then after that we will talk about insulations you could or you shouldn't use, and also we will do a little bit of testing on those three insulation types. Before we get started, I'd like to thank all the newly subscribers, of course the older ones, you know I appreciate you guys. If you like the content, then please keep subscribing. I'd like to show you the work from this week. You know how we put this, or how I put that first layer of insulation on there. It's coming right now. As you can see, I have started cutting the insulation for the floor here as well, and I have those as well. So these parts, they go in original size, like as a first layer, and the other one outside I have to cut them by 3 inches because this is not 8 feet inside, is 3 inches shorter than 8 feet, so I need to cut them. So that's my first sheet. Wow, that is going quick, eh? I'm maybe 10 minutes into it, and I have 3 rows left here, you know, but look, it's going super quick. Well, I have pre-cut all the sheets yesterday, so yeah, it's going very, very quick with that foam. Therefore, I bought myself on Amazon 2 of these spray guns, normal, ordinary spray guns. You know, they look like this. Yeah, most of you guys know what they look like. And you basically just twist them on to the cap, to the can, right? And then you can use them. So what I bought to install the insulation is basically that product here, Acfix. I was going to use a Zika product. There is a Zika Bond, or what it's called, you know. I would have put it in here, a picture of what I was going to use, but I couldn't get my hands on it. So that's why I tried to find an alternative, and this is this product. Acfix, what is it, 960p. And one of these cans lasts for 14 square meter. I bought myself a whole box of this stuff, you see. In addition to that, of course, cleaner, gun cleaner. But it seems that I have ordered way too much from that. I ordered the whole box, and I'm still on the first bottle. It's not that I'm cheaping out or anything. Get the floor done, the lower part on one long side and the front with one bottle. That stuff is really, really efficient. I finished basically the insulation yesterday on Monday evening. You know, I have to fill this with 1 inch sheets, but the rest, it's all filled with 2 inch. So that's where I'm at now. Let's look at the 3 insulations I picked to talk about. In order to do a water resistance test, I cut some samples like the PIR, the styrofoam, and the fiber insulation. So, and then I have a bucket here with some water in it, you know, and therefore we will throw them in there for 24 hours and see how they behave. Do they absorb water? Here is the PIR, goes in there. Here's the styrofoam, goes in there. Whoops, go swim. And finally, the fiber insulation. Lid on top. After 24 hours, we will open that bucket and then see how much water each of the material absorbed. Let's get back to this water test. Let's see what the bucket has to offer. Ay, ay, ay. Have a look. The fiberglass, it's swimming at the very bottom, and the whole water has a kind of pink color now from that. Let's take out the PIR. So what I do is now I take a paper towel, touch the outside a little. So you can see. And now I go here, but beside that on the next board I have a fresh paper towel there, and I lay it on top. A second piece of wood, put it on top and squish. Good luck. Good luck squishing. Ay, ay, ay. Can you see that? Oops. Can you see that? I mean, I do it again. I squish. It's basically, yeah, dry. It's dry. It's dry. Let's get on to the styrofoam. I move the bucket over here. You can see it. I take it out. And now I just wipe the four sides so that we have a fair test. Let's take a fresh paper towel right there. Put the styrofoam on. Wood and squish. I can squish that. So there is water coming out. This surface is wet. Yeah. There was a little water coming out. So that basically absorbs water over time. And if it is water vapor, you know, that's even finer. It will find its way in and stays there and maybe rot in mold. I don't know. No, and then finally we have that candidate. And do I have to say more? So now beginning of the tape is basically where the right distance is to the heat gun. Yeah, that's about right. Right where the tape is. 103, constant, 105. Okay, so now we know the right distance where we have to hold the material. Let's do that with this styrofoam. So hold it right there. Let me take my thumb away and then just watch it. What is it doing? Can you see? Can you see it? It starts in the middle. Can you see it? There's a dent in it already. My finger's getting hot, honestly. But yeah, can you see the dent already? So I think that's pretty obvious. You can see already that it's deforming. If I go closer, then you see it disappears. You see that? It just melts and stinks. Now, let's do the same test with the fiberglass. And I hold it the same distance. So with 100 degrees, there is no change. Just warming up, no change. If I go really close, it starts smelling a little bit, but there's actually no change. So that is maybe a little discoloring here, but that's about it. And now finally the material I have used. I have here a good chunk of Sopra ISO V Plus, 2-inch in width, and I know for a fact that if I hold it here, nothing will happen against the fiberglass. Nothing will deform. If I go close, let's go close with the open edge right away, just to shorten it a little bit so you can see it. I'm almost touching the gun. You can see a discoloring right there. I do not know how many degrees right at the gun at the front. You know, discoloring, yes, but absolute no deforming. Now, it's not melting or burning, it just discolors. So the way we are looking at those materials is not out of a view like an all-purpose usage. You know, we're specifically looking for using it in a camper or in a habitat like this, you know, and therefore we're looking at heat resistance, water resistance, also like, does it stay in place where we putting it? Health reasons, health points, you know. Fiberglass. Fiberglass is mostly used in residential applications, home builds, you know, that's where it's doing a fantastic job. And it's very, very soft, as you can see. Most of you have probably worked with that stuff. But as you might can see in the light, there is already some stuff flying around. Okay, so now we know fiberglass absorbs a lot of water. It basically dissolves in the water, if it is so much water, of course. But we have to count with condensation. We have, let's say we have here on the outside our aluminum panel, the sheet, right? And then on the inside there is our plywood, or whatever you prefer to put on there, you know. But it basically doesn't matter. Outside aluminum, inside your finishing wall, and then you have your insulation in between here, okay? That stuff in between. Now, we have, let's say, minus 10 degrees outside here, Celsius. I'm talking about 10 degrees Celsius, okay? I hope you can see that. You know, maybe you want to come a little closer. So, now you have 10 degrees outside, and we have, let's say, 20 degrees plus on the inside. So there will be somewhere here in the middle where the cold temperatures coming in and the warm temperatures want to go out, right? So somewhere here will be a temperature shock. I call it shock, okay? Because cold hits warm, and that will be our shock line kind of thing right here. So that's where insulation will be, condensation will be built. Most likely it will be on the inside of the aluminum, so it condensates on the cold aluminum and then runs down, you know, and accumulates here at the bottom. So all the insulation which is at the bottom will get wet. And if it is wet, it gets heavy. Heavy insulation accumulates here. Our habitat is always shaken back and forth, impacts through potholes and uneven driving surface, you know, and what will it do? Over time, it will sink down because it's heavy at the bottom, and it pulls it down more and more and more and more. So long until we have basically a big fat cluster here at the bottom and nothing anymore at the top. I'm just writing the points on there, what we're basically testing it for. So heat is the first one, water vapor, let's say. And the third one is, does it stay in place where we want it? Placing. And then health. Health, okay? Now, we talked about water. We know it's a total failure. Yeah, and then placing, we just brought it up. will be a cluster at the bottom and nothing at the top after a while. Failure. Yeah. Health, I googled it and I wrote it down. Fiberglass creates itchiness, skin irritation when working with it, could trigger asthma, bronchitis, and eye irritation. Yeah, so that's what I googled. Okay, that's what Google is saying. Therefore, it's a failure again. Heat resistance, we saw it, perfect. Now let's continue with this material. Everybody knows that material. Most people say styrofoam, but styrofoam is actually a brand name, a trademark from DuPont. It belongs to DuPont and they call it styrofoam. The right description is EPS, expanded polystyrene, and this is an open cell foam. So open cell means basically, if you look into the structure of it, I have that here on my iPad, open cell insulation. That's what the inside looks like. It is airtight, but it is not water vapor resistant. So you can imagine these open pockets here, they let water in. We have seen heat resistance. Nope, it's a failure. We have seen water vapor resistance. Nope, it's a failure. Placing, when we put it in there, very soft. You can see here, I can squish it together, right? But as a sheet, it will, if I put it in the wall, it will stay where I put it. It will not sink down or anything. So therefore, the placing is okay. And then health, I couldn't find anything, what is really bad. What you need to do on EPS is you need to read the specs. Styrofoam and foil faced or not, I found some specs at some of the hardware store. The big ones, and there is a spec sheet, for example, which I took a picture of, and it says here, we're talking about health. You might can read it here. You see here, formaldehyde free, and X, no, is not formaldehyde free. And I checked formaldehyde on the government's webpage for what their concern is about formaldehyde, and that is basically, it can cause over time respiratory issues, all the way up to asthma. In this case, I would put a question mark in there, because some people would be affected by that, and other people, they don't have any problems with that. So therefore, a question mark or an X and a OK, so yeah, it's kind of iffy, right? So that everybody has to decide by himself. You saw all these pockets in there, like the air pockets. So it's more air than material, and that's why it's cheap to produce. Last but not least, the material I have used, and that is called Sopra 150 V+. That's what this is called. And the material here is a closed cell material. God forbid I can't pronounce that right. I will show you the right description of it. You can try yourself. Okay? Yeah, it's not my thing, but I call it PIR. Okay, PIR. You can see it here, the acronym right there, PIR. So that's what we call it. And as you could see, it is heat resistant, like excellent. Water vapor is because of the closed cell. This is what a closed cell foam looks like. You see all these closed cells there. You see every bubble basically is surrounded by solid material, and this explains why we have such a high density. Yeah. So if you look at this, I cannot squish it together. I can, you know, like, I can try, like, push hard, you know, and you barely see a deformation. So this is, actually, I am standing on this material right now with my slim 130 pounds, right? So there's nothing happened to it, you know. So that's very good. And that also basically answers the question right away about the placing, right? Placing, we're good. You know, water vapor, on that PIR, I have on the inside and on the outside, I have a fiberglass layer on it. The fiberglass layer himself doesn't let any water through, right? And then in my specific case, is it so that I have a second layer on top of it, 1 inch on top of it. So I have basically 4 layers of fiberglass there. So I do not need any extra vapor barrier. A water vapor, okay. And then health reasons, the webpage from Suprema, that's the producer of this, and looked up the spec sheet of it. This is I don't know how big that document is. But there's health tests on it and stuff like that. They write there everything in it just to probably cover their butt or something, you know, but nothing really serious, you know, like it could cause respiratory irritation and stuff like that, but nothing really serious. So therefore, under the line, it's a absolute yes. This is why I decided to go with this product. So just a small story about that, why I choose such a thick insulation. I mean, it's pretty typical that people are using 50 millimeter, 2 inches thick insulation, you know, and I go for 75. Thing is, I remember when I was a kid, I know it's not that long ago, but when I was a kid, we visited my grandma. And my grandma, when we was about to leave, you know, my grandma says, hey, to my mom, do you want to take a frozen cake with you? Because I made cake in the season, you know, and then whatever she had left, or she did too much for the kids, and I put it in the freezer. So, and then she was asking, do you want to take a cake with you? And she said, well, when we arrived today, you know, it will be too late to eat cake, so it cannot defreeze. But we did not have a cooler with us or anything we could basically keep the cake frozen, right? So what my mom did, she took that frozen cake and she put all our jackets around it, you know. And my dad had always a kind of emergency blanket in the car, you know, for if you get stuck somewhere, you can keep yourself warm. And she also wrapped the blanket around it, around the cake, and there was a big pile then, and she put it in the trunk. And I thought as a kid, oh my God, man, the cake will probably sweat in there. It will defreeze immediately, you know? Because when she wraps me in all the blankets in my bed or on the couch, you know, I feel so cozy and warm, so the cake should feel the same, you know? But as thicker the insulation, the higher the efficiency. When we arrived at home, she took that big insulation pack out, unwrapped it, and the cake was still completely frozen. You know, I could not understand that back then as a kid, but now I do. And this is the reason why I have such a thick insulation. If we be, let's say in Mexico, and there's very, very hot outside, it takes quite a while until the heat is going through all the thick insulation and, you know, and warms up the inside. So this is why I go with such a thick insulation. Now this upcoming week I will install the 1-inch layer on the bottom, only at the bottom, and then put the plywood, the floor plywood down, which is a special plywood, you know, but I will explain that in the next or the following video, because I don't know exactly what the progress will be. I cannot install the 1-inch layer on the walls because first I have to put the window frames in, so I can run basically my 1-inch insulation right against the window frame. So this is it for me for this week. I know it was a little dry now with the insulation, but it is a very important decision which you have to make. You know, you don't want to have any mold or rotten stuff in your walls, you know, or losing half of the insulation. It's cold at the top and warm at the bottom, or I don't know. So I think it is very worth talking about it. Once more, if you like the content, please subscribe to the channel and leave me a like, and we will see us soon.